There were millions worth of unusual tech calls across the board today. Insider trading is rampant again, as if it ever stopped. And sentiment is at its most bearish streak since the tariffs dropped the market 25% earlier this year. All that and much more in today's video. Make sure to subscribe, like the video below. Let's get started. So first of all, I wanted to share this. The dollar to gold ratio is at a new lows again here. You can see it's dropped significantly this year, and gold has actually outperformed even the S&P 500 significantly this year as well by orders of magnitude. So very interesting macro data point. It could potentially lead to some issues in the future since money seems to be flowing into gold again, but wanted to start the video off with that. Now, secondly, we do have, as you can see over here on Twitter, bearish sentiment increased again this week to 43.4% versus 32.7% bullish. And we click on this here, we can see this is actually fairly consistent at or above that 40% bearishness level. And each week in the past, actually 5 weeks beyond what you can see in this picture, has been overwhelmingly bearish versus bullish. The last time we saw this was back in April, early April, actually during the tariff fiasco. Although the big difference here, so if we go to the chart, you can see S&P 500 closed almost at 650 today, and it was dropping down all the way to like 480, 500 around the time that we last saw this bearish sentiment. So incredibly different area right now, as you can see, versus that time period. It was kind of over that frequency. Of course, it was a bit more bearish here. It was like 50% around this time period. I need to mention that. But the consistency of it week after week of overwhelmingly bearish sentiment had not happened since all the way back here. After that, it was either more so bullish or more neutral up until now, where we're up here. And normally that acts as a contrarian signal, as we know from back here, and other data points as well, like during the 2022 low, 2023 low in the fall, if you remember that October low. So pretty weird to see it up here where that bearishness is increasing and consistent. But as of now, this actually is, if I scroll in on here, looking pretty strong at the moment. We can see that it did consolidate around this range. And right now it's attempting to break out of that consolidation, drop down below this range that formed over here. I'll get rid of some of these. Over here, it actually attempted to form an inverse head and shoulder. We had a fake out down here on Tuesday since Monday was off with the holiday. And so far, it's just been consistently up ever since. So going forward, as long as it continues to hold over where this higher low formed right here at 640, I say this continues to grind higher well into the 650s. That has been the case so far this year, specifically this summer, that it's been mainly by the dip opportunity or environment rather for the market. Now, as for flow, it was actually very tech heavy today in terms of call flow. You can see super unusual $3.1 million call sweep out the money as well on Apple. So decent size on that. As I scroll down here, you can see two very unusual Google orders, 1.2 million in premium, 1.1 million in premium together. That was this morning and it was in the money, but it expired in one day. And these actually went up about 35% by end of day. So really good trade opportunity, much like the trade opportunity they were able to capitalize on earlier this week. You remember that right before the news came out that they did not have to sell Chrome. So they made a bunch of money on that. And then whoever this was here made a bunch of money on this. They've been killing it with Google lately. Of course, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So clearly there's been a lot of activity there. I'm going to continue to watch Google flow going forward just because of how consistent they've been as of recent. And also, if you do want to look at Google Flow as well as other flow, you can use this code here on the right of the screen and get 15% off after your free trial. So you try it out 7 days, don't like it, can cancel. Otherwise, you'll get to have that 15% off once your subscription starts. Other than that, you can see over here, Amazon, another unusual print, 2.1 million in premium. October expiration, starting to see more of these. We saw it on the Apple one, but this one also was out the money. So a lot of Mag 7, at least tech related flow from today that is bullish. And like I showed you with the chart, market did close just about at a new high up here. So clearly a lot of strength right now. And that's been the case throughout the summer. We do have to be careful though, like I mentioned earlier on in the week on that Sunday video, because we are approaching a seasonally bearish time period. But as of now, we have not received confirmation yet. I want to make that clear. Made that clear on Sunday as well as those previous videos. I'm looking for confirmation below key levels. It has not happened yet, so I am not interested in a short setup yet. As for setups, looking at Apple here just because of that unusual print near end of day today. A very nice breakout actually of a flag that I referenced a couple weeks ago in that video. You can see over here, this actually extended a bit too much, but I'll make it look a bit prettier for you guys in settings over here. I won't extend it all the way, but basically we did have this flag over here and it was able to break out of the flag as of recently. So nice bounce from the demand that we knew from those previous videos. Flag pole right here, the actual flag, and then the breakout of that. So it is almost at that 240 price target, just about closed at it, but should continue to grind higher through the 240s next just because of this strength. And we also have that nice complementing bullish flow as well. Now for Google, obviously that big news recently, was able to send it to new highs. This is one that struggled a lot earlier on this year, but has been able to pick up significantly and has remained strong. And they continue to buy the dip on this one. So it looks like it will continue to go in that direction as well. And then lastly, with that Amazon print that we saw earlier today, this is actually a really bullish setup right here. Personally, this is where the most interest is on my part, because one, we do have a downtrend breakout over here. As of today, it actually opened right on the downtrend and then it was able to close above. So this is a clean breakout, is supported by volume. Also, the candle itself is clean because you could see here it had a nice strong close with no wick above the downtrend. But this is a pennant, is the downtrend breakout and also a pennant right here. And you can see we had that confirmation. Still need confirmation tomorrow for the weekly close on Friday. But as of now, it looks really strong. If this is able to close above tomorrow, I'm looking for a long setup with my stop under 230 on the hourly. So that's the plan. I really like this one and also like Tesla as well. I mentioned that in the previous video and it is working really well so far because it is a similar pennant to Amazon, just a little bit more developed. We had that breakout similar to Amazon, kind of this day over here on August 22nd, similar candle to what Amazon had. But in this case here, we did have that upside pop and then came back down to retest the pennant, the two green lines here, and now is amid that attempt to actually break out after the retest to the upside. My personal targets, as you guys know, 384, 61, and 404, 79. Believe you can hit both this year. So looking for that upside here on Tesla. Been dormant for a long time now, but has had some nice flow as of recently. You can go check that out really quickly for you guys. It's 73.3% bullish flow to 26.7% bearish flow for the last 2 weeks. I'm here in the historical flow tab, as you can see. And some of these interesting prints, like these leap orders, 1.1 million in premium, 1.6 million, even a November expiration, 2.8 million in premium, all for out the money strikes. So great to see those highlighted here in gold and purple because of how unusual they are. And then as you can see, some other ones, 2.5 million for the 350. So a lot of bullish sentiment in terms of the flow. Big money's interested. Even these leaps, like 4.5 million in premium for the 420 expiration. Funny expiration there, especially for Tesla. But as you can see, the December 17th of 2027. So very far dated, but they have been loading for a while, looking for that opportunity for some more upside. Not as much activity in terms of dark pools, but that's fine because the flow is going to be more predictive for what can happen in the short term. But do like what I see here as well as across the Mag 7. And yeah, I totally realize as well, if I go back to the chart, the general market seems to be super high. I showed you guys on SPY, and then I could also show you here on QQQ. But with that strength, again, you got to wait for that confirmation, even though you might think it needs to fall down, and I'm sure it will correct at some point. You got to be careful, wait for that confirmation, not try to be too premature in your setup, and just got to go with the flow, so to speak. And you can see over here, there's a downtrend forming. You can draw it on QQQ, similar kind of to that pennant I showed you actually on Amazon. And once this breaks out, if it decides to, then that's just going to go to new highs, continue to grind higher. So we're looking at a variety of potential bullish setups. It could continue to wait in this range over here that it's forming. But once it decides to break either down or up through this pennant, that will give us confirmation of where the next direction will be. And as traders, it is our job to capitalize on that. So regardless, as always, appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you next time.